I mean, it's definitely all around customization. I just shared a moment ago on, us, and I've seen a lot of success with breaking down playbooks by vertical. So, what we've found is, the more customization that we have with our playbooks, the more relevant we come off, right, as buyers. In addition to that, we're able to, confirm a whole host of different things, right, across different verticals. You're going to have different buyer personas. You're gonna have different milestone moments, right, within your sales cycles.
Yep.
There'll be different trends. There'll be different people that you're competing with, right? And so that's where we found a ton of effectiveness by breaking them down per that vertical component.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for being here. I am pumped to chat today. To start out, I would love to hear about you, what your role is today, and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, thanks, Alexa, and I appreciate you having me on the pod. Yeah, I don't mind giving you a little bit of background at all. I have had about 15 to about 16 years of like SaaS
Mhm.
sales experience. I've worked in kind of various positions, but started out just cutting my teeth as a individual contributor, quota carrying, and then got in about 10 years ago into managing sales organizations. That kind of spiraled into leading and influencing marketing organizations and sales operations, which kind of has led me to my current position, VP of sales at Agora. So I work with our customer success team. I work with our net new business, kind of like go to market revenue growth team, sales ops and marketing, right, to drive revenue for Agora, which is a real time communications company.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. So, one question I'd love to ask you about is how do you define a sales playbook? Because every time I talk to different sales leaders, they have a different definition for what a sales playbook should be. So, how do you define a sales playbook?
Yeah, well, I think I don't know. I kind of view it as playbooks can mean a lot of different things to like different roles across sales organizations. So, from like a sales perspective, it's the blueprint for like how to sell, right? It includes a lot of different things. Includes like current client examples, explains the business value that like our products provide to our prospects and clients, the products that we're going to be providing, target account lists, common challenges, competitor intel, and so much more. But right, that playbook is also focused on getting those sales reps ramped up a lot more quickly, like compress that ramp time as quick as possible, provide ongoing learning, and driving revenue as efficiently as possible. So that's on the sales side. From a product side of the house, right? It provides a good playbook, firsthand communication on the challenges that our prospects and clients are looking to resolve. That can help influence product roadmaps, so forth. When you think of marketing, right, growth marketing teams, a good playbook will inform them on how to best position our products and differentiators to our ideal customer profile, right, and the TAM that we want to hit. So we kind of take that approach. I've taken that approach before in our playbook creation, across a lot of different companies. And so we have chosen to really break down our playbooks by vertical, including a lot of those different kind of business units that I just shared with you.
Very cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So, is there a specific playbook or way that you've built these playbooks or a specific, I don't know, play within the playbook that you have found most effective?
I mean, it's definitely all around customization. I just shared a moment ago on, us, and I've seen a lot of success with breaking down playbooks by vertical. So, what we've found is, the more customization that we have with our playbooks, the more relevant we come off, right, as buyers. And, in addition to that, we're able to, confirm a whole host of different things, right, across different verticals. You're going to have different buyer personas. You're gonna have different milestone moments, right, within your sales cycles.
Yep.
There'll be different trends. There'll be different people that you're competing with, right? And so, that's where we found a ton of effectiveness by breaking them down, per that vertical component. I think as I mentioned, a moment ago, it definitely takes a village. So, having the product growth marketing technical team, having an executive sponsor, right, on each of our playbooks makes a huge difference. everyone really is a salesperson. Everyone is, got responsibilities to help drive revenue, right, for the company that you work for. And I think it's also a wonderful way just to have a real nice kind of feedback loop, communication cycle across these different business units. So everyone is kind of in sync with, what you want to achieve from a, corporate goals perspective.
Speaking of goals, so you oversee a lot of different functions. So I'm assuming that the playbook for each of those functions is going to have different goals, whether that's driving awareness or generating more meetings or converting more leads to closed one or whatever those are. What metrics do you track to make sure that those playbooks are successful?
Yeah, I think, it's important to know like a lot of these playbooks take a lot of time to develop. So it kind of depends on the playbook for us, like which vertical we are, positioning it for. If it's a immature playbook for like a greenfield vertical, that is going to take a lot more time to see some revenue pay dirt. If it's a more mature vertical, we're going to see a lot more quicker time to market and a quicker time to revenue. Some of the specific kind of metrics that we look at, it's all around, MQL, SQL conversion, sales cycle velocity, right? How quick are we achieving key milestone moments like, reaching a POC, right, or pilot stage? Quickly are we getting to the negotiation stage? How quickly are we getting to product launch? It's really important to get a baseline data, right? So before, whenever I come on to kind of a new employer, right, I want to look at the baseline data for all these kind of important sales metrics so I know how to track against and successes that we've achieved. That coupled with looking at more generally available market data can kind of help you out, right? At the end of the day, we're going to be looking at revenue growth year over year, month over month, increasing our number, average products sold kind of within our, opportunities, and then seeing, new hires ramp more quickly, right? So when did they create that, first op? When did they close that first deal? Right, so forth. So that's some of the overall kind of metrics that we look at, and there's other, less quantifiable metrics like how many blog posts has that, playbook or that
Yep.
group written? How much engagement has that had? What kind of speaking engagements do you have? What kind of relationships are we forging with thought leadership, like within those verticals? This are all kind of wrapped into one to, figure out, hey, is this playbook being effective or not?
I loved the point you mentioned around it'll look like a different process for creating a playbook for a greenfield vertical versus an established vertical. Because the established vertical playbook, it's going to be copy and paste. We've been doing this for X many years. We can just give a new sales rep a playbook and they go. Versus the greenfield, it's going to take more iteration and experimentation. So when you are going after a newer vertical and have to come up with a playbook from scratch, like what does that process look like?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I mean, part of the newer verticals, they're more exploratory, so it's more speculative. So, what I think a good goal to have, right, is more around, just general conversations, right? So I think it's really easy to create, targeted lists that are very narrow in focus to go after your kind of SAM, right? Your serviceable addressable market. And for those initial playbooks, you know, I want to see as many meetings as possible with those target account lists. I want to see a lot of events being attended, lots of conversations being had. So the individuals that are part of making that playbook can truly create that customized playbook. The other component, right, is not all playbooks are going to be successful. Some we might find, right, are not as lucrative for the company that you're working for, where your products are currently are at, or where that vertical is currently at, right, for that playbook. So I think it's being a lot more patient, doing a lot more of those soft kind of quantitative skills, like I was talking about the events, sponsorships, speaking engagements, blog post writing, to truly really try and validate like, is this a playbook worth investing our company's resources, time, and budget on? Over time, you're going to see hopefully those meetings convert to ops, which converts to revenue. And that's when you can start making strategic decisions on growing those playbooks and customizing them. Because all playbooks are going to be fluid, right? They're always
Mhm.
going to constantly be
Right.
changing because you're going to have new competitors pop up, new demands in the marketplaces, right? So it's making sure that it's not like you create it and it's done. Doesn't matter if it's greenfield or for a mature right space. You constantly got to be iterating and really having that feedback loop internally so everyone can kind of, plan and strategize accordingly.
It's a great point. Playbooks will never be set it and forget it. there's always going to be a new competitor, new market to go after, new way to objection handle, new way to go to market. So I think that's an awesome point, regardless of, is it greenfield or is it a new, an existing established vertical? What challenges should other sales leaders be prepared for when building out sales playbooks?
So I think there definitely are challenges with creating playbooks, but I just have to say, like, just creating and implementing like playbooks, I mean, they really should be fun. Because if it's done right, you get to become a subject matter like expert across a specific playbook or vertical. You're truly adding value to those prospects or buyers and their companies, and oftentimes that value translates directly to revenue growth.
Uh-huh.
That said, yeah, there definitely are challenges that come up, right? So I think one is just resources. For folks that are truly creating a dynamic playbook, it takes a certain individual, right? The individuals to create a great playbook, they got to be a dynamic thinker. They got to have a lot of curiosity, a lot of energy, and a very good communicator. Because oftentimes with playbook creation, you're not only communicating with potential buyers or current clients, you're also communicating internally with a lot of different business units, right? So it can be tough to find all those personality traits in one or multiple individuals. So that is one challenge, right? I think another would be in this kind of era more of hybrid workforce. So I work remote. My company that I currently work for is remote first. Um, there can be a tend to obviously work in silos. It's really easy for sales, product, growth marketing, tech support to stay in their lanes. But to have a successful playbook, you got to merge all those lanes into one.
It's a great point that you need to have a specific mindset or kind of expertise to be developing the playbooks. Do you usually have a counterpart that's building this with you, whether it's a sales manager, a rep, rev ops, or are you constantly kind of iterating on your own as a leader?
Well, no, I really think it's all those group members. So I think, you typically will have what I've seen to kind of drive the best results is you can almost kind of look as the playbook as you've got like a mini CEO, right? That CEO is very sales and revenue driven. So that'll tend to be like someone within sales, but they are iterating directly with product, directly with growth marketing, with their technical support to help create all of what, goes into a playbook. Everything we've kind of already discussed, which can talk a lot, right? Like I think some of the stuff around competitive intel, a lot of that can be scouted out, right? From like a product team, be put in, right? Some of the stuff we have around like with playbooks come, you got to have really good sales tools as well, right? So like having a good tool to be able to have a library of prospecting calls and current client calls, and hey, this is a good POC call. This is a great, negotiating call. Having that in your Rolodex can help with the ramping, right, and help be woven
Exactly.
into your playbook. So everyone kind of has to be accountable, but I think in that helps reduce the silos, and that also helps make sure that all the team members are building their products or implementing their sales strategy or deploying their marketing tactics with the same mindset, right? And everyone's not kind of going in with different attitudes or perceptions about why our prospects or clients are buying from us. We kind of all have agreed upon criteria, and then that sets the go-to-market strategy. Because that gets exciting. Not everything's going to work. What those teams deploy, what we focus on from product, right, or sales strategies. But if we're all going with the same attitude, then at least we can kind of like parse out what's working and not working, and focus on the stuff that's driving positive results.
Makes sense. And Andrew, I learned so much in just a quick, I think this was 10-minute conversation. Anything I should have asked or any final thoughts?
Oh man, we covered so much. I could, talk about playbooks a ton. I mean, my final thought is this: like fraudulent slip there. Playbooks really are the backbone of like sales organizations, and they truly enable quicker ramp times for sales reps and having. I don't want to call it, kind of that repeatable process or that kind of McDonald'sation of like a sales cycle, because good sales folks, you're not selling a widget, right? You got to be nimble, dynamic. So having that, playbook that kind of echoes that kind of same vein, that flexibleness and dynamicness is so key. So that's why I enjoy talking about it. That's why I enjoy kind of leading, by that example. And it produces results. Like at the end of the day, like if it didn't produce results and wasn't driving revenue and creating efficiencies, like organizations like the one that I work for now, Agora, other organizations wouldn't be investing a lot of, time in that strategy.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. I loved all the topics and really, really appreciate you being with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was a ton of fun.